Welcome to the Backpacking Blunders podcast. Thanks for joining us today, folks. With me today is Ben McAuliffe. He's a man whose boss once told him to have a good day, so he left work and went home. How's it going, man?
Good. I actually did that once, so it works out. No, I wish. We always mess around with my boss. We're like, we're not feeling it today, so I think we're just going to come in tomorrow. We literally just got there, so we always try to get off work. It's good.
That is good.
And with me today is the one guy who refuses to wash his hands because he believes it takes too much time, Carl Mandrioli.
The lazy hand washer guy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. How do you like that?
That's funny. I do wash my hands, first of all, but I know what you're talking about because sometimes I'm just like, it is annoying to have to wash your hands or to clean up.
Are you the guy? Okay, maybe this is too much for a family audience, but you go to the restroom and there's always the one guy that just uses their urinal and walks out and doesn't wash his hands.
Yeah.
So gross. So gross.
I might have done that before.
Oh my gosh. I'm bringing hand sanitizer on our trip. You're not getting away with that.
You should. All right, Ben. Ben, you're back, man. You've already guest hosted. You're back for more. I'm kind of leaning on you a little bit here. You have a new microphone. You sound professional. Are you ready for this?
I keep getting, every time is more professional. So let's keep going and seeing what happens. Eventually we'll get there. People will be like, oh man, these guys are pros. Yeah.
I don't know if you're getting increasingly professional.
I have reached my peak.
All right. So you mentioned you have a boss and stuff. What's funny about that is that one of the most common questions I get when my typical co-host Derek is on is, so what does Derek do for work? And I think I'll just have to ask on the podcast because no matter how many times he answers that question, I still don't really know. I don't think anybody really knows what he does for work. So what do you do for work, Ben? What's your job?
I am a ranch director for a ministry, for I'm Here Ministries. So we own 37 acres. We have kids come up. We minister to them. Sometimes there's 7, sometimes there's just 1. And that is what we take care of. So we just invest time into them, see what God shows us. Then I'm also on the volunteer fire department as a captain. And we're actually getting deployed, or when this podcast comes out, I'll actually be deployed in Oak Knoll, California, sitting back and manning a fire station there. So lots of hats.
It's a service-based type of job. Sounds specific. So it sounds like we know you are. And you're in northern California next to the Oregon border, right?
Correct. Yeah. If I hit the PCT, we could be in Oregon in 10 miles, I think it is.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I think that's what the miles is. I've never walked it. I got one guy that keeps asking me to walk it and hike it, and I need to. So it's on my bucket list to
10
do.
miles.
Oh gosh, just the 10 miles. I'm not doing the whole PCT.
Okay. Who's got time for that?
Fires. I know one of the fires is by us, and so it stopped the PCT trail, and so people are having to get off and take a shuttle. And they're actually hiking down our highway. So they've been trespassing on our property. It's kind of interesting. And hey, how do we get to the PCT? It's go this, just keep walking down the highway. There's no trail in the back of my house.
Are you walking out? You look like a great rancher with the massive beard, the kind of guy that's hey, what are you kids doing over there? You come out with a bow and arrow and you start shooting at them, or what's going on?
Bow and arrow. You look like a rancher. I don't know ranchers that have bow and arrows, Maybe a musket? I don't know. No, there's one where I showed up and I gave her the podcast. So I think I forgot her name. She'll message us and maybe be on the podcast because she went the whole PCT, starting down by Mexico. But she was trespassing and came out of the woods, literally just came out and was I'm trying to find the PCT, and she's bloodied from the thorns of the blackberry bushes.
Yeah.
And I'm
right.
Yeah. You just got to walk the highway. So I gave her some ice cream sandwiches, gave her some water, fueled her up.
That's nice of you.
And sent her on her way.
Wait a second. Are you saying if I trespass on your property, you're going to give me ice cream sandwiches?
Oh, it's a Christian thing to do.
Okay.
We don't have any now, so you might just get ice cubes, or maybe I got a frozen pack of pork shoulder or something.
Dang it, man. She ate them all. Okay. All right.
Blame her.
So we're talking episode today, the worst backpacker of all time. And this kind of sounds like a negative episode, but really we're just poking fun at people that we've gone backpacking with, and we've kind of compiled this list. And so if one person were to characterize this entire list, you could say, at least from our perspective, that they're the worst backpacker of all time because of all these terrible, embarrassing, or annoying things they do. And so it's kind of like almost like, what bothers us, or this is kind of a way for us to say, like, hey, if you go backpack with better ride, don't do these things. Right?
Would you uninvite people if they did some of this stuff on future
No,
trips?
like,
Or okay,
no,
there's nothing on your
you can
list
make
where
the
you
case that
uninvite
I've
them?
done some of these things too. So
So if you're coming to a Patreon trip, Carl might not be there and I might show up. So
yeah, well, that's true. You're on the next Patreon trip, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're just gonna go through it and talk about the kind of the things that kind of could characterize the worst backpacker. But what's coincidental about this episode is that we started putting out these like short YouTube videos last week, which are just kind of meant to just kind of, like 2 minutes long, or if you find the YouTube shorts, they're 1 minute long. They're just kind of meant to, brighten your day, bring a smile to your day. And the first one we put out is called The Worst Backpacker of All Time. So it's kind of thematic based on that as well. So you'll see that kind of how that actually plays out. And we're just kind of poking fun at things. But speaking of being the worst at things, is there anything, not just for backpacking, but in life, that you would consider yourself like pretty bad at or the worst at?
Oh man, I think I don't know. Sport wise, my family tells me I'm pretty good at everything for sport wise, like, better than average.
That's the opposite answer of what I just asked.
I know,
literally.
I know. So I'm trying to think like, well, see how, sorry, I answered that. I boosted myself up before I did. I like to say I care too much. What I'm worse at, probably just stuff that detail work. Really bad at detail work. Details, I hate.
Like details
like
of what?
painting. Well,
Okay.
finishing. So we do a lot of work at our ranch, and I like
Yep.
doing the big projects. But when it comes down to like the piddly painting stuff, I hand that over to my
Mhm.
wife. Like, I hate painting. Painting is
Gotcha.
the worst. Like, just
Okay.
it's so mundane. You can't
Yeah.
just get her done, and it takes forever.
Okay.
Oh,
Still
brings
sounds like
the
you didn't
show
answer the
down.
question. Sounds like you just chose something you don't want to do, not something you're actually bad at, but all.
No, I'm bad at it. I'm horrible at painting. Horrible. I do it. I'm horrible on purpose, so I don't get asked to do it again, Carl.
you mess it up on purpose so they don't ask you to do it.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So for me, I don't know that I'm the worst at this, but I'm not very good at parking. Like just parking cars. Like I don't know how to parallel park. What?
This is the second episode you brought up something about your driving. I'm noticing a nice little thing. Like last time you talked about your car's transmission, and now it's
I know. I'm just not good. I'm not good at parking. And some people are really good at parking. Some people like to show off how good they are at parking. So I don't know if you've noticed this trend. I know you're in a pretty rural area, so maybe you don't notice this, but like if you go into a parking lot and you're behind somebody, sometimes they'll kind of like, they're not really saying this, but really by their actions, they're saying, hang on, everybody, look at me. I'm about to back into my parking spot. I have that
parallel
skill.
parker. Yeah.
Not the parallel. They'll back into just like a regular parking spot. And I get it with the trucks, man. Like sometimes it's easier to back in with the trucks. If you get a bigger vehicle, like I totally get it. But some of those smaller vehicles, they're just like, stop, wait for me, watch me. Here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think it actually annoys a lot of people.
Are you a bumper to bumper guy where you back in, you hit the bumper, you hit the other bumper, you kind of just hit the curbs?
I'm just like wonky, like, I don't know, bad angle. I'm just not good at it.
Oh my gosh.
Not good.
You're the reason that they have those like AI driving now. Like
that's right. For people
you don't need to touch anything. They're like, Carl, we've seen you. Here's the vehicle.
Right.
Hands-free driver.
That's right. All right. So Bible verse of the episode, Proverbs 29:11. A fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back. So this, to me, when it says gives full vent to his spirit, I think of somebody who's venting and kind of just like unloading their problems. And for whatever reason, I feel like when we're out on the trail, this is a very common thing to have happen. Is that you on the trail, Ben? Are you a venter?
I'm not. I do process stuff. So if something ticks me off, I do go and talk about it to my friends, my close friends, and it helps me. But depends. Like, there's a time to do it. I don't want to be. I actually have that on my list, but I don't want to be a guy that just sits there and is constantly venting. It's it's not fun to be around. But that's a good one.
No, but you're right. If there's something you got to process through, you want some feedback. For sure. That makes sense.
Yeah, but if you're doing it to everybody, now pretty soon it becomes like gossip. And that's not good either.
Well, it could be gossip at the gate too, for sure. But
Right.
there's things that if you're constructively trying to think through something and talk it through so that you can, it just depends on what it is, I guess. But yeah, I can be that guy. I'll admit, I can be the guy who's, I feel like my last backpacking trip, I was kind of processing through a lot of different things and trying to run ideas by people, but I was asking more questions, trying to get their perspective on things, not so much just
right.
like unloading. But yeah. Anyway, so I think that does relate to one of yours because you mentioned one ahead of time. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So let's jump in, man. Worst backpacker all time. I kind of already defined my version of like what the worst backpacker is, but like from your perspective, like what's your version or what's your definition of like the worst backpacker, like in a general sense here?
Oh, general sense. I had names written down, so I was going to start naming people on the trail that I hated.
Naming names,
but I guess not. No, it's the people that you backpack with that you just maybe not want to backpack with, or they have tendencies that just annoy you. And maybe you're one of these, maybe you don't know you're one of these, but something to watch out for on the trail.
Does it have to do with fitness? I think a lot of people might think like, okay, somebody who can't go as far, can't put in the number of miles, they're just not as fit. Is it about that?
I don't think for me, a physical doesn't matter to me. And because when I do backpacking trips, I try to depend on what the backpacking trip is. I'll have the people go for that. So I'm not going to have someone that I know is out of shape go on a backpacking trip that might have a lot of miles, a lot of elevation. So I don't, for me, being out of shape, physical stuff won't be what I consider a worst backpacker.
Gotcha. Okay. So there's no fitness shaming going on here. That's kind of part of the ground rules.
You won't get it from me, Carl. You won't get it from me. I can't speak for you.
We'll see. All right. All right, let's go. So I got a list of 5. I think you got a list of 5 things that describe the worst backpacker of all time. Why don't you go first? What's on your list?
My first one's littering. You know, you get the guy that just or girl that opens up their whatever and just throws the plastic on the ground. Or, you know, I don't know if gum is considered littering because I spit gum out, so I don't want to be hypocritical. But the littering, you know, I don't want the littering person up there. You know, banana peels, they biodegrade, but according to California laws, even throwing that out the window is considered littering. But I'm not to judge, but the stuff, plastic water bottles, Mountain House, you know, the dehydrated food packets, like we should be packing in, packing out.
Okay. Just to clarify, what you're saying is you've gone with people, they are done with whatever food they're getting out of their pack, and they just throw the trash on the ground.
Yes. And then I pick it up. So maybe they're smart and they know I'll pick it up. So they're trying to make my pack heavier and lighten their pack.
Okay. Are you
saying maybe I got to work on that?
This is intentional? This isn't like they accidentally like let a little plastic and
no, they're like eat their sandwich that's in a baggie and we'll just like throw it and you know just not even think about it.
Who are you going with? I don't even know these people.
Well, the wrong people. I know the wrong people.
Okay, I get that it's an accident. Like I get that happens. So I always try to pick up trash when I'm out there. So because I probably accidentally leave things at times, but people that are intentionally littering, I've not seen that.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's really out here. I haven't seen it too much, but back in the other states I've lived in, Texas was a big one. El Paso, there's a lot of litter on the trails, and it was bad. So definitely one of my pet peeves is littering.
Yeah, we still like people from Texas, from El Paso, Texas, by the way. So no picking on them. But all right, what about gum? You just spit you're just walking along, you're just like bleh. Just spit your gum out.
Yeah, I mean, your gum gets old. What do you do with it, Carl? Do you swallow it? It lasts 7 years.
I'm not a big gum chewer. Not a big gum chewer.
Oh, you're not. Wow.
No.
Okay. Well, I am. I like gum. I like blow pops. So, you know, but once again, I do throw away the Wow.
I like blow pops.
I can't even say anything
like
to that.
Sour apple blow pops on the trail. I crunch through the apple part as fast as possible to get to the gum part, right?
What? Sour apple? No, strawberry. What in the world?
Sorry.
Gosh. Okay. Yeah. I'm a little more older than that. Okay, let's move on.
Okay. At this point, just like based on the criteria we've set out, we only have one detail about worst backpacker of all time. I would like to dub Ben the worst backpacker of all time because of his gum issues. That's ridiculous, dude. Spit your gum into like a tissue, throw it away. If you're backpacking with me, you're not going to spit gum out on the trail. I'm going to pick it up and then I'm going to put it like on your shirt or something. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
do a better
Well, I'll
job.
keep that in mind when we go. When we head out, I'll bring a big wad of Big League Chew
Yeah.
and our sunflower seeds now. Is that considered littering when you spit those out?
Okay, this is getting into like controversial area when we talk about banana peels and sunflower seeds. We
Oh,
talked about that on. I don't want to dive down this rabbit hole because this
okay.
is very. You've already made people mad with your gum statement. So we're we're gonna make Ben a better person, and I'm gonna pick up 10 pieces of gum on the trail that I find just so that we can kind of balance Ben out here. But all right, my number one is the person who does not know what to do when they encounter strangers on the trail.
What?
So, like they're coming the opposite direction. All
Yeah.
right. They just don't know how to behave, which is actually more of a common issue. This is strange. I actually like tested this out, like how stranger interactions went in Colorado versus California, Southern California specifically. And California was way better at this than Colorado.
Okay, you have to give me a scenario. Like act this out because I'm confused. I'm from the Midwest where everyone knows how to act around strangers. You say, "Hey, how are you?
Okay.
What you doing tonight? You want to come over?" Even if they're strangers, you ask them to come over. Like it's weird. Minnesota's great. So yeah,
That's
so
nice.
so play this out for me. Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm coming up to you, Carl. So I'm walking up to you.
Something that literally happened yesterday on the trail. Literally happened yesterday. So we're going opposite directions, and I see somebody. I pull off to the side for them, and I say, "Hey, how's it going?" What do you do, Ben? What do you do?
I say, "It's going good. How are you?" And I stop and I might talk to you for a minute.
Right,
Or are they running? I mean, are you were they walking or running? They're walking. Okay.
Yeah.
I could see you doing that to like a runner and like trying to stop their pace and they're like trying to set it. So, but
I can
if
do
they're
that
walking,
while I'm running. I can say, how's it going? I'll stop and talk to folks all the time.
What did the person say?
Nothing.
They just ignored you.
They ignore me. Like it's one-on-one, single track trail. They just walk right by me. They glance at me and keep on walking. Yeah.
Was it okay? So the trails that I found are friendly is when you go to like the Minnesota state parks, they are friendly people there. And I mean, everyone stops. Hey, how are you? Or just they'll nod to you. Morning. So maybe it's a Colorado thing where maybe it's a public park or wherever you were.
It might be Colorado. I don't know.
Have you tried it as like a state park in Colorado? Because they're different. Maybe it's a different thing. I've never had that happen.
Dude, you're talking to the wrong guy about this. I've been on all the trails, all the types of trails in Colorado, and I'm on the trails all the time. So I know this is a common problem. The other problem is people that, if I get out of their way, a lot of times I have the right of way, but if I get out of their way on the trail, they still won't say anything. They could at least say like, "Thank you," right? They could say something. I got out of their way on the trail. You can go right by me. So I feel like just general social skills. Like if you don't have basic social skills to talk to strangers on the trail, I'm gonna dub you one of the worst backpackers of all time.
Okay, so we'll have to do a separate podcast about making sure everyone's friendly on the trail and have social skills. So before you become a backpacker, let's get social skills
right now.
Yeah. We'll have to have a whole different podcast for that. Listen, everyone needs to have better social skills. Otherwise, you're on Carl's number one worst backpacker. If they don't say hi to me, they're a horrible backpacker.
It's not even that. Like I'm saying hi. Just respond. How hard is that?
Yeah.
How hard is that?
I want to know. I want to be noticed. Can you guys notice me? I think there's deeper issues here, Carl. I think there's deeper issues.
Probably. Okay, maybe I do want to be noticed. You're right. It's lonely out there when I'm by myself. Okay, what's your number two?
So to recap, my number one is littering. Yours is not being noticed. Okay, so moving on. Which you're okay. This is funny because this goes with my number two is not knowing when to stop talking. So if you're in a group of people, there's times where I want to just enjoy the scenery. I might want to listen for wildlife, see wildlife, and you got the person next to you that just wants to have conversations. And the people don't know how to read the room. I don't say room, but read the area because literally I'm sitting there one answer like, yep, good. Yep. And you can tell I'm not even interested in what they're saying because I'm done. I want to just relax. And especially in the morning, I'm not a morning talker. So I have to get up an hour before everybody to have my morning time. But yeah, that is my biggest thing. Not know when to stop talking.
Yeah. So over talking, you can be a conversation dominator too. This is funny that you're bringing this one up. Like you can.
I thought about just keep going until you interrupted me, just to be ironic.
Okay. Okay, first of all, I think that if you're the kind of person that you're describing, in the morning, if I were you, I would just hike either way faster or way slower than the group so that you can intentionally get away from folks and kind of have your quiet time. That doesn't always work. I've tried doing that and people are like, "Oh, it's Carl, I want to talk to you for a while." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not really in the mood." There's actually one time when a guy did this to me and he's like, "Hey, so how are you doing, Carl?" And I was like, "You know what? I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking." So he started off with a question, which is great. And then he talked for like 30 minutes in a row after that. And then I was like, you know what? I got to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to go take an extra
You guys
long
go on
pee.
ahead. You guys go on ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like 30 minutes in a row, man. So I get what you're
Wow.
saying. That being said, I think I violated this one on my last trip, but
Oh,
I'm not sure if it was my fault or not. You can tell me. I think Derek wanted that alone time. And so he started hiking ahead and I just let him go and it was fine. But then like it started raining a little bit more, and then it just started coming down. So
oh
we
gosh.
both took refuge under this tree, but then it didn't stop. Like it came down for, I mean, it was like a couple hours. And so
Wow.
eventually we left, but while we were under the tree, I don't know, should I have just been quiet the whole time?
Were you just talking and it depends. Was he having a conversation or is he like barely
Yeah, but you could
responding?
tell he wanted his alone time when we're stuck under a tree during a rainstorm.
Well, find another tree, Carl. Who got there first?
Find another tree. Should he have said that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe if he can you
Okay.
imagine?
Yeah.
He wanted his alone time. Carl, find another tree.
I know. I should have.
You have to
I
run.
could tell he didn't want to talk, but it's socially awkward not to. So
Can you imagine though? Like, I
anyway,
mean, for me, I have to put extra effort in to be alone. So I have to run ahead of the whole group and to think everyone's like, oh, Ben's mad. He's ahead of everybody. Doesn't want to hang out with us. And
yeah,
I'm just like
right.
huffing and puffing now because I want to be alone.
You know what's funny about that you said that Ben's mad is people who tend to be very conversational. If they want quiet time and you're just like, I'm just gonna be quiet for a while, other people just think that they're mad. Like, oh,
Right.
they're quiet, so they're mad, but they're just
Yeah.
being quiet.
It's sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
on the
Okay.
trail, when you say hi to people, are they mad at you just because they don't want to say hi? I mean,
I don't know, man. There's obviously people that are deep in thought, or if I encounter a couple folks that are like engaged in conversation, I'm not talking about those folks, but
yeah.
either way. All right. My number 2 is a person is the worst backpacker if they are inconsiderate about the time frame for leaving camp.
Ooh,
Okay.
I like that one. That one
So
gets
that
me.
means if we're leaving, whatever the time is, 8 a.m., 7 a.m., 5 a.m., I don't care. If you've set a time or like a time frame, let's be ready around this time, and that person has a yard sale still, and everybody's waiting for them to leave, that person is on my worst backpacker list.
Totally agree. People that are late, don't honor the time. They really get me too. I mean, just yard sale, but the tent, like if you're telling them to pack up, get ready to go at 7 o'clock and they're not ready, that just means that they don't care about the other people around them and they're not ready. And are we doing a good job telling them that this isn't really a vacation? This is more of a get together and we're sticking to the time frame because, some people have different ideas, like, hey, I want
Yeah,
to
they
go,
do.
I want to relax. And so for them,
Right.
their relaxing is, leaving camp at 10 and getting to camp at midnight because they're dawdling
Right.
when everyone
Exactly.
else is like,
Exactly.
let's go, let's push it, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good. Everyone has their own pace, but do you leave those people behind or you wait for them?
I've been mixing it up a little bit. So I left him behind. Excuse me. I left him behind on the last trip where I said, okay, we're going to leave, like group 1's leaving right now. And I made sure that group 2 had somebody who knew where they were going. And that didn't turn out to be a problem. But in the past, I've waited for them. I've tried like helping them pack up. I don't think they're always being inconsiderate. I think that some people are just, okay, we got one guy, for example, love this guy, but he can't pack up and talk at the same time. So if somebody goes up and starts talking to him, he will stop what he's doing and engage in conversation. And now his packing job has come to a complete halt. So knowing that about him, when that person engages him, I'm like, it's kind of the other person's fault because you know that about him. So like you're slowing the whole process down, right?
Right. I would make it a game. Like if I'm sitting there, sitting there seeing you irate, I just go up and like I start, hey, go ask that person about something. Hey, you go up next and ask that guy and just see how long this takes before you just, guys, we gotta go.
I'm not irate. First of all, that is not correct. We're just pointing out these things.
You're just at that point. You're like, team one's leaving, and you're the only one on team one.
Team one. I guess I'm by myself, but it's okay because I'm gonna be quiet for a while, so that works out for me. Ben just took a drink and is about to spit out.
No, it spit out. It spit out. I need more paper towels.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So
okay.
All right. Next one. What you got?
Oh, this one gets me is just complaining nonstop. I'm there to have fun. I don't let a lot bother me. I'm more carefree, but even though I'm complaining about everything on this episode right now, but just constant complaining, like, oh, how much farther is it? Are we there yet?
This is
sucks.
complaining.
I know, but but it's while you're backpacking, the complaining. So for me, it's just that, like, the negativity. I really don't like the negativity when we're backpacking because I heard it said once, it's hard to be in creation and not notice the creator. And so everything's just perfect when you're in nature. And so that's what I really see is like how cool it is. And, there's really nothing to complain about unless, we have some guys slowing us down or not packing up, I guess, if you're complaining about that, it's okay. We all vent occasionally. And, when you're in fire camp for us for 14 days, you get close to one another and stuff starts to be irritable, but it's okay to have those moments, but it's that guy that's just constantly complaining day in, day out. So,
well, have you had that on a backpacking trip? Have you had that person part of your trips?
I'd rather not say because I live with some of them. So, I'm just kidding. My kids, I love you guys. So, no, the little toddlers and they're little and like, are we there yet?
How is this? For sure.
They're young, but as adults, I think it's dumb, but I haven't had them too much complaining, but it doesn't go with me when you're in nature. But how would you fix that? If someone's just constantly complaining to you.
Yeah. So, okay. To be honest, with adults, I haven't had that. I've been very blessed with the adults I've gone with. They are not complainers, even if they're having a hard time. I'll kind of add on to this one. They have not, like, there's nobody who's just like straight up complaining. The only time I can think of where that was happening was when I took a youth group backpacking, and there was one kid that came along who had no business being on this trip. I told the group, I told the parents, like, they have to have some sort of like baseline for fitness, like playing a sport, for example. They can't just, if they don't do anything, they can't just show up and expect to be able to do this trip. And the mom's like, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. And he wasn't fine. And it was like mile number 1, he was whining about his pack and this and that. And so,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was just kind of a downer for me. We dealt with him. He made it through the trip. It worked out okay, but that's the only thing I can think of. I don't know that I was pretty young at that point when I was taking them. I don't know that I handled that well. I think I would have just pulled, because he's he's like a high school kid. I would have put him aside and been like, yeah, if you want to leave, then we can press this red button on this beacon and it's going to cost your parents $50,000. Otherwise just stop complaining.
I mean, I think the easier thing would just start pulling stuff out of his pack, that you found unnecessarily. But
dude, I pulled everything, literally everything out of his pack. This is on the first hill, by the way. So I doubled up my pack. Then I bungeed myself to him and was like yanking him up the hill. I was towing him up the hill, and he was complaining while I was doing that. I'm like, I can't do anything else for you, buddy. So
was that it was an actual bungee cord? Or was it webbing?
Because it's from my adventure racing days where we used to like tow the weakest link kind of thing.
Yeah, no, but they usually use webbing, but you used a bungee cord. So I could just see it like you're pulling each other and smacking each other. Like you're pulling them and then having to bounce back into them.
Yeah, this is not a cartoon, Ben. This is not the bungee cords where it's just like, it's just like it's a pretty taut cord with some flex to it. Let me tack on to the one you said. So you said complains needlessly. There's people, this is like kind of secret complaining, is people that give a lot of constructive feedback about your trip while you're on the trip or like soon after the trip.
Oh,
so some of it's actually really helpful. And for me, it's more helpful after the trip. But here's a comment that I got on this last trip. This is like a real comment that I got. And yeah, so this actually made me laugh. Somebody said, "Hey, Carl, this is the best backpacking trip I've ever been on. But why didn't you plan it going the other direction? Like it's a point to point."
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you like it would have been better if you had gone the other direction.
Because it was downhill the other way or what? Like,
Yeah, it's just downhill the whole way. No, it's not. No, the funny part about it is we weren't even halfway through the trip yet, so they didn't know what was coming up. But yeah, it was just funny because it was like they were being like they said it was their best backpacking trip ever, and then they're still being critical about the trip. Like I can't if I can't do better than that.
I have to find something. I mean, it's food critics. You know, you gotta find something bad about something.
Yeah.
You
Well, the
can't.
person
You
who
can't just
said
say,
it
"Oh,
is one
that's
of my favorite people
awesome."
to go backpacking with, so I don't want to be too critical of them. And they meant well with it. I think they were more curious, like why, like my thought process for planning that direction, because for them it felt like a lot of uphill early in the trip. But this is
Oh,
Desolation Wilderness, man. I've never been there before. I don't know. Like, how do I know?
yeah. I like you look at the map. Were you going north to south? I mean, that would make sense to start out north to south and south to north.
It was north to south. Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Why?
that's why.
Why does that matter though?
Well, because it just feels right going north to south than south to north.
Just
Think about it. You look at a map. You always go north to south. You know,
Okay.
you're going up.
Okay. All right. All right. We've complained about the complainers enough. All right. What else you got?
All right. For me, I got someone who judges you. I hate being on those trips with people, you know, that will like get your gear out, check out what's in your gear, complain about what you're packing, how much your pack weighs, everything, how trashy your gear is. Have you been on trips like that?
Why's your gear trashy?
Well, you know, maybe you don't have the top of the line stuff, but they got better stuff. So yeah. Have you ever been on a trip with that person?
I probably am that person.
You are. I just described you, Carl.
Okay. Well, we do a pack weigh-in, so weighing the pack is part of it, and it's interesting to see who's got heavy packs. But I'm not like challenging you on your pack weight. I might challenge you if you're lagging behind, but I don't think you're the guy that lags behind.
You literally just told me he's had a kid and went and pulled everything out of his pack to tell him what pack was wrong.
I didn't tell him that it was wrong. No, his pack was fine. He just couldn't carry it. He couldn't physically carry the gear. Okay.
How much did his pack weigh, by the way? Do you remember?
Oh man, we didn't do that. That was like a long time ago. We didn't do the pack weighing at that point, but that's a really good question.
Oh, that's what started. That's probably what started it.
Probably.
Patient zero, right?
No,
there.
Okay. Here's. I probably come across as being judgmental, but here's really what I'm doing. So forever before we started our podcast, I went backpacking with like the same dudes every single time, and a lot of those dudes, their first trip was with me. So if you're talking about like lack of variety of like gear, food, just interesting things you have in your pack, it wasn't happening. And so when we started going on these Patreon trips and people are bringing different things, I'm like, ooh, what's that? What do you have there? I'm trying to learn and like figure out different things, right? Is that okay, Ben?
Yeah. I don't know. Were you judging them, giving them grades on, oh, you have that dehydrated food? Well, I give that a C. You know, if you really want an A, this is what you need. Would you consider everything in your pack an A plus, Carl?
No. I did tell John Kelly from the Backpacking Podcast that the dehydrated food he brought, which I think was the only one that like fit his diet at the time on the Red River Gorge trip, I said that was like the worst brand and that like beware, basically. I said that the last time I had that exact meal, I like threw it into the campfire. It was so disgusting. And then
my gosh,
he couldn't finish it either. So there, take that, Ben.
Oh, yeah. Did he throw it in the fire? Did it turn funny colors when you turned it in the fire? All right. My actual number 5 is not a team player. So someone that just gets to camp, doesn't set up. We had, when I was doing an adventure race, we had a guy that literally was like, if we're not going to race right now, because we had guys that had blisters on their feet. We didn't feel comfortable racing at night. So we're like, hey, let's just wait a couple hours. Let's gather our bearings. And he's like, well, if we're not going to race, I'm going home. And it's like, this is a team sport. Like that attitude of like, well, if we're not doing this, I'm going home. You know, there's times where I think you had it on trails where people pull that card all the time. Well, we're going to go this way. And you can't stop us. You know, it's all about the team safety.
That's extreme. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do this.
It's not just about going home.
Do they say you can't stop us?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't stop them. Like, go ahead. I'll help you.
How do I help you
going
faster?
I'll pack your bag lighter for you if you need to.
Right.
But more getting up to camp and just not setting up, sitting there, not contributing to the team. I get
Right.
there's some people like me that we talked about where maybe in the morning you might think I'm not a team player because I like to be quiet and have my time alone. But at the same time, I like to interact with people, help people get tents set up. If you're struggling, I'll help you. Always cover the six, and so I just think that's a huge thing for backpacking.
Okay. You did 2 in a row, by the way. So I got 2 left.
Well, that's all mine, I think. So yeah.
Okay. So similar to what you just said is somebody who does not contribute anything to a group trip. So I'm not talking about like a Patreon trip or even like a guided trip, but if you're part of a crew or a group and you have been for a while and you're not contributing anything, whether that's like in the planning stages, whether that's sharing things, whether that's, there's so many different things that you can provide. So for example, on our trip, if I'm flying out, I don't have fuel because I can't fly with fuel. So somebody's got to get fuel for me. That's an easy thing to contribute to help me out, right? As if I'm flying out,
right?
Something along those lines. Somebody who's not contributing anything to the group trips. So I'm with you on that one. And then my last one was somebody who shows up, like making a mistake once or twice, not a big deal, but somebody who's frequently shows up missing something important.
Ooh, like what? We had a guy that forgot his bike. He had to go to Walmart and buy. Well, it was adventure racing. He forgot his bike and actually had to go to Walmart and buy his bike. And so, I've had it happen. I don't know how you forget your bike on that stuff, but it'd be like forgetting your backpack full of gear.
But that's okay. I hear you. But okay, just to clarify that, adventure racing is very different than backpacking because
right, but still forgot his gear. Yeah,
I know, but adventure racing, there's like a ton of things you got to bring. A ton. I get
no, it's a backpack. It's your backpack and your bike, basically. But anyways,
it's like a laundry list,
things,
man.
Whatever. Yeah, there is.
Okay,
we didn't do the big ones.
That's right. Okay.
I've had people but backpacking would be,
yeah. I think people forget sleeping bag, tent, food. One person who was a backpacking instructor forgot their shoes on a trip. They were wearing flip-flops and they left their shoes at home and didn't realize till they got to the trail. So yeah. Again, not a big deal.
Kill an animal and like skin them and use their skin for, like make your own moccasins or something. I mean,
correct.
That's what I would do, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. No, I did. I guess I did forget. We went up to Lake Superior overnight, my buddy, and we forgot our tent poles that we were promised were in the tent, but we didn't check. And we didn't have firewood either. So it was really cold. So yeah, it's happened. I'm not here to judge.
Everybody's made the mistake, but if you're the person who's like, what did Ben forget this time? Then that's not a good sign, right?
Yeah, there should be a bingo card, right? For what I forget.
I feel like the tent poles for me, I'm like always nervous about it because I store my tent poles separate from my tent. And I always like double, triple check that I've got the poles with the tent when I go. I don't know, it just makes me nervous, but that's how I store them. There you go. We just described the worst backpacker of all time. Somebody who checks off all 10 items on that list, even though we checked off some of them. Hopefully you're not checking off all of them. So what do we miss? What else describes worst backpacker? Please let us know. And we'll shout you out in a future episode. But all right, before we move on, we've got, let's see, Ben, you're doing a product review. I
am. I'm excited for this one. I have the Backpacker's Pantry Pad Thai with chicken. So I'm not a big pad thai person, but Carl sent me this to try out. So I'm going to try it out live. It's important to know that you read the directions because the oxygen packet always gets mixed in with these. So just so you know, I took it out just now. And
wait, after you put the hot water in?
Yeah, it's about the 4th out of 5th time I've done that. I always forget it's in there. So I just add the hot water. And so while I'm cooking it, there's 2 things to know. This one, you have to wait 8 minutes, stir again, and wait 7 minutes. I don't know why dehydrated food is all different. I think we talked about peak. I think theirs is like the one I tried was only 10 minits, and that was it. Right. Like 10 minutes stir, and you can enjoy. Yeah. But anyways, we'll see.
Hold it up so I can see the package here.
Sorry. There we go.
There you go. Okay.
Whoa.
Yep. There you
all
go.
Right.
Okay, so he's trying it right now. Backpacker's Pantry, man, that's a product that's been around for a while, but they recently released some new flavors. I don't think the chicken pad thai was one of the new flavors, but like the drunken chicken with the noodles or something, like that's one that I had on the last trip. They've just got a bunch of new ones. They had like a macaroni and cheese. I'm not sure if I think that was a newer one as well. So you just had a bite. What are you thinking on it?
I like it. It's good. I'm not a pad thai person. I think the peanut sauce, I once again didn't read the directions, so I added it after the boiling water, but you're supposed to put it in, I think, before the boiling water.
Okay.
So it was a little thick on the peanut butter, but good flavors, little spicy. What I do like is it has 42 grams of protein, 850
Okay.
calories. So a little bit more
There
than
you go.
the Mountain House. I think Mountain House is like 12 grams and like 250 calories. So if you're looking for
Right.
something for calorie wise, pretty good taste. I don't know. This tastes pretty good. So I give it
I
about
like
probably 8
Backpackers
out of 10,
Pantry.
7 out of 10. So yeah, it's good. It was quick.
Okay.
The noodles are good flavor, good spice.
Okay.
Definitely pretty good. Just the 15 minutes to wait to eat it. I don't know. I like stuff quick though. And dehydrated food, I think that's the one knock I'll always have is just the quickness for it.
I feel like some of it
and
just takes longer than others. I don't know why. Like you saying, I don't know why some takes 15
yeah, and
versus
some
10
you add the
minutes.
water and it's still chewable. Like you still like it feels like it didn't hydrate properly or something. So
Right.
I don't know, maybe it's the mixer, but it's pretty good.
How did that one do? Did that one hydrate properly?
Yeah, well, this one was sitting for a while, so it hydrated properly.
Okay.
Yeah, I found the secret. I add a little bit more water than necessary too, so it
Really?
actually mixed pretty well.
Okay. I've had
So
some issues
I
with
found it. I
soupiness
found it
with
delightful.
those, with if I
Okay,
add too much
well,
water.
yeah. Oh yeah,
So,
you totally can't add too much water, but I think the cup and a half is under. I think
okay.
cup and 3/4 maybe stronger was probably good for
So you're
dehydration.
adding an extra quarter of a cup. Wow, man.
I think
Okay.
I did
That's a
on this
lot.
one. Yeah, it was good. Well, I mean, and then you got the peanut butter that you add in there. So that's probably where a lot of the protein's coming from is the peanut butter.
Not the chicken, you're
I
saying.
was not well, maybe the chicken. I forgot to read that. There is chicken in here. I had to double check that it was peanut butter too. I was like, maybe I misread it. Maybe it's almond butter.
It's not
But it is
almond
peanut
butter
butter.
for pad thai. Pad thai is like they got the
Yeah.
peanuts and stuff. Okay.
I
All
did leave
right.
the peanuts
So
out. I think it would have been too much peanut butter and peanuts if I would have added the peanuts. So I left the peanuts out.
gotcha.
Which,
So
if you're looking for a snack, you buy this and then you got peanuts the next day for a little midday snack.
or you can follow the directions, which it sounds like you didn't do at all. Sounds like you did zero of the directions aside from pouring water in.
Hey, if you're gonna make a meal, you just gotta wing it.
Okay. That's so ridiculous. All right. So check out Backpackers Pantry. So we'll put a link to some of their new options they have. They came out this year with. If you're looking for some different flavors, might be worth checking it out for sure, especially if you go backpacking a lot and you're always looking for some new things. Okay. So before we hit trivia, we have a new partner for our show that is actually, they're the ones that are kind of sponsoring trivia moving forward. And this is a company that we met at the Outdoor Retailer Show. It is a company called Teton, or if you go to their website, Teton Gear. And this is a company that's been around for a long time. They've been a part of our July trips. We've had, their backpacks been on our trip. I was watching the last season, The Amazing Race. One of the teams had one of their backpacks on there as well. And Teton is something like you probably have seen Teton gear and didn't even know it because they've been selling on Amazon forever. And they're one of the great budget options. And so they've just sold a ton of gear, but specifically backpacks over the years. And so the reason why we partner with them is because we think this is a great gear option for like newer or mid-level backpackers who are budget conscious, but want to give their gear, or they want to have gear that's going to last a long time because it's just, they're built well and they have a lifetime warranty. So yeah. What do you know about Teton, Ben?
I heard of them. I haven't looked too much into them until you told me check out this backpack, which I'm really excited for your review in the future.
Right.
And it looks really nice. Like I love the
Yeah.
lifetime guarantee. Now a lot of companies stand by the lifetime guarantee, so that really
Right.
excited me that okay, I can buy something and not have it go to waste. Like that they
Right.
stand behind their product. So I'm excited for the gear that we get to see and try, and I'm excited for the partnership, and hopefully it continues on.
For sure. Yeah. So, and they don't make just backpacks, just to clarify. So they make sleeping bags, pads, tents. They make the big four. And so like noticeably less money, but like I said, very good quality. And it's for the kind of the budget conscious backpacker. So it's not necessarily for like the elite ultralight backpacker, just to clarify. But if you're looking at, just getting into backpacking or you're getting somebody else into backpacking, you want to try them out. Like this is a really easy way to have something good for them that is, that's not going to break the bank essentially.
Yeah, this is a really good option for the people that are just getting into backpacking. you want to get something that's decent, but not going to break the bank. You don't want to go cheap, because you go cheap, it's going to just frustrate you with weight, with quality. But lifetime guarantee, that's something that, you store it for a couple of years and get back into it. It's going to be there for you.
Correct. Yeah. And so we're going to get more specific with our gear. So we're going to do a few product reviews. I've got the backpack that we're going to be reviewing next week, and just, kind of tell you a little bit about it. And then Ben's got a couple items he's going to be reviewing in future weeks. So they are partnering with us specifically to sponsor trivia. And so that is coming up right after this. The trail is calling your name. Are you ready? Are you really ready? Our good friend Rowan from Summit Strength can get you trail ready. Rowan uses rock solid evidence to design a specialized training program just for you. There are plenty of cookie cutter programs out there that will get you only halfway up the mountain. Make it to your adventure summit with Summit Strength. The link to your success is always in our episode description, but you can check out all the information you need at summitstrength.com.au/online. It's time to be strong and pain-free for your next adventure. Okay, so Ben, you got trivia this week, man, and this is your first time doing trivia on our show where you're presenting the questions. I'm a little nervous. Should I be nervous?
You should be. You should be. I got 2 questions that I think will be good, and then one that just doesn't even make sense that you have to answer, and you have to get it right.
And that's what I want to hear. I definitely want to have a question that doesn't make sense. Everybody wants to hear that, right?
Yeah, everybody. So you can play along at home, see what you would answer, and see if Carl answers it right. Okay. Are you ready, Carl?
Yeah, I'm not. And just to clarify, I'm not nervous about getting the questions wrong. I'm nervous that you're asking good questions that everybody can play along with. So you assured me that this was the case, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, everyone does stuff. All right. You ready for question 1?
Go ahead.
What is my middle name?
That is not your first question.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's
All
such a terrible question.
I threw you a curveball. You're like, the look on your face dropped. Like, no.
Because I warned you not to ask those types of questions. You do it intentionally.
I do it all the time. I'm a rule breaker. All right, Carl, best way to stay consistent with workouts. Do you reward yourself? You don't bother starting, then you are consistent with not working out. Tell your family you are working out, or just run 1 mile every day.
Well, who's this according to? Is this like anecdotal based on your own experience, or like what is this based on?
No, this is according to Google.
What? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
I looked it up.
You're doing a great job filling in for Derek, man. This is a great job filling in for Derek.
Hey, just because you don't know the answers.
I don't know, because like Google, what does Google know about staying consistent with workouts? It's pulling from some rando website, right?
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a website. I forget what website I looked it up.
I did look it up. Reward yourself, I guess.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're correct. See, you sit there and like yell at me. That's awful. And then you're like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and not do it. That's what they said. They said, if you reward yourself, that is the best way to stay consistent with working out.
Isn't the workout itself a reward by itself?
No, I hate it. You work out, it's like awful. Like, yep, never doing this again.
Oh my gosh. I love going out and getting exercise, man. I love it.
For me, I'm more the type where I have to mix it up. I can't do the same stuff. Like running 5 miles just doesn't do it for me. I have to, like, for me, it's just working around the ranch and stuff does it for me. Just that way, lifting different stuff. But yeah. All right. Question 2. This one, there's no multiple choice. How do you prevent a sprained muscle?
A sprained muscle.
Yeah, how do you prevent it?
Let's see. Is it a sprain if it's a muscle, or is it a sprain if it's a joint?
I don't know. It just said sprained. Maybe I was supposed to do joint. It's just sprained. Let's just take out muscle. Maybe I wrote it down wrong. But how do you prevent a sprained joint? I'm doing so good on trivia. Yeah,
I would like the two obvious ways to do it would be like to strengthen an area or to make it more flexible. So stretching or strengthening.
Right, and you are correct.
Okay,
that is it.
Both?
So you passed. Yeah.
All
well,
right.
the top one was stretching, and the second one was actually just staying in shape, like just continually working out and hanging out. So
kind of, yeah. Like if you talk about muscle strains, if you have a weakness in a muscle that's not getting addressed with your actual workout, then you kind of lean on other muscle groups. It can cause that, I don't know, it can just cause strains essentially. So strengthening
Perfect.
that will help. Yeah.
Perfect. See, you don't even have to worry about question 3 now. That is the oddball question.
Thank you. What's question 3?
Question 3 is, what's the best way to eat an apple?
Are there multiple choice?
Nope.
One bite at a time?
No, Carl. No, not even close. It's with peanut butter. You got to eat an apple with peanut butter.
Why do you have to eat an apple with peanut butter?
Because it just tastes better. I mean, don't you just like
That's not a real question, Ben. Ben, you did good on your first 2 questions, sort of, but that's not a real question. That's just like a weird. That's not even like, that's just more of a conversational question, right?
It is, but it gets people thinking because they eat all. Everyone eats, and I don't think of another way I'd eat an apple other than with peanut butter. Like I can't just bite into it normally. It's more just cutting it, slicing it, dipping it in peanut butter.
Okay,
Do you eat it that way?
the question
I
is
mean,
like,
you already made fun of me in like my like 9-year-old eating habits, but
so the real question is, how do I prefer to eat an apple? That was what your question should have been, right?
it could have been that way, Carl. We could have said it was that way, but no,
which is
this
very
is the best
similar
way.
to the example bad question of what's my middle name. So you literally just replicated that question a different way in the trivia, correct?
Well, just because you got it wrong. I'm noticing a pattern. When you get a question wrong, you get upset. You want the point. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Badgering the co-host. It's just going on. But yeah, you passed.
All
so
right.
we still got to think of a punishment. So it's all good.
We'll get that. Ben will do better on trivia next time, folks. Not bad start. First 2 questions, then it went downhill fast. So we'll work on that. But you got anything else?
I'm good. No, that's it. Trinity Alps. I do need to talk to you about bear canisters because we do got to bring that.
This is not a trip planning episode. Do you have anything for the podcast, Ben?
Oh no, nothing for the podcast. Then I'm good.
Okay. All right.
It was fun hanging out.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Ben, thanks for co-hosting. We'll probably have you on a few more times before our trip, and it's a pleasure hanging out with you, my friend. And that's all I got. Have a good day. Have a good week. God bless you, everybody.
See ya.